Hello everybody, my name is Zach Barnes, founder of Template Barn. Today I want to walk through how to use the Fundraiser Pledge Manager template as a Google Sheet. So here we have the introduction. When you first buy the sheet and get the link, this is what it'll show up as. We have a brief description of how to use this template. We have it describes what each of these tabs do at the bottom. One of the most important parts of this introduction is simply this authorization walkthrough. When you first use this template, you will have to authorize the scripts that automate the template to be used within your Google Sheet. If you have any concerns, any questions about this, please do not hesitate to reach out to us, but you will have to authorize this. We can guarantee that it's just working on the sheet and it does not extend outside of the Google Sheet. So to begin, we'll go to the dashboard here. Now, because there is no data in here, it'll look a little bit like this, pretty blank. You can enter your goal up here and the date of your goal. So for purposes of this demonstration, I'll just put $20,000 and I'll say I want it by that date right there. All right, maybe not that date. Let's do there. All right. So now that we have our goal and data goal set, we can now begin entering our pledges. So to do this, we'll go to the pledge entry form here at the bottom. So each pledge must have an ID number. So the best way to do this, what I recommend, is handing out pledge cards that have individual and unique ID numbers on them. However, if you don't do that, it's completely fine. You can just put in a number as you enter the pledge. So 001, 002, 003. Unfortunately, there is an ID number that is required, and that's because the system uses this to connect everything. Everything is underneath that number. All the payments, the information is under that number, so that you can have duplicate names or names that are close together, but the number is what holds everything together. So in my case, I'll just put 001. Let's say I pledged, put a fake phone number, and then let's say I pledged $2,000. So once that pledge is in there, and you can add more, you can go down this list and add pledges right like that. You just click this button and let the script run. And what this will do is it'll take the pledge from this sheet and move it into our database down here. So one new pledger added. All right, and that should clear that. So now if we go to the database, we can see that this pledge has been added. So the database is where all the pledges are maintained. So you can see and view them all right here. This is not where payments are held. We'll go to that in just a minute. But this is where you can see the overall progress of each pledge. So let's say a couple months down the line, you get a payment. So we can go to the pledge payment section down here. Now, we have two ways of doing this. We can either enter the name of the pledge, or we can enter the ID number. Whatever's easier, whatever works. So let's say I enter the name. It's now going to autofill the ID number as well as the previous percent given. Now we can enter an amount given. So let's say I gave $200. It's going to tell me what percent of my pledge has been fulfilled after that donation. That's simply kind of a check to make sure if this percentage is super high, then go back and make sure you put in the right number while entering a payment. The date, if you leave it blank, it'll automatically default to the day that you're entering the pledge. Let's say I made this payment on the 6th in June. And again, we can enter multiple payments or we can just enter one at a time. Click this button. We let the script run. One payment is transferred. All right, let's take a look. This payment will now have been moved into the payment archive right here. And here's where all of our payments are stored. So this is separate. These are all individual payments. The pledges are kind of the combining of these payments. So you can see all of that here. And you can make edits here, however, and in the database as well. However, I recommend using the options sheet all the way down here. So the options sheet is where you can track how many pledges you have, how full your sheet is, the number of payments, and then you can edit and view individual pledger information. So let's pull up that pledge I just gave. Here it is. I have my payment right here. And you can edit in these yellowed squares. You can edit these things. So let's say I go back and realize, oh, this wasn't a $200 donation, this was actually a $100 donation. I realize that phone number is wrong, something like that, and I actually pledged $2,500. I click Save Changes to Database, it runs, and now it's just going to update that for us. We can also use this to delete pledges, and we can also use it to clear all the data on the sheet. Now, I would remind you that you can also go back to the original link and create an entirely blank sheet and maintain the other one if you want to use it for reference. But if you'd like to clear all your data, there's a button for that as well. So now let's go to the dashboard. All right, so I've put some information to replicate what a campaign would look like right really in the middle of it. So I had to change our goal to 75,000 just because I had entered a couple too many payments in there. So on the left, we can see the amount of total goal given. So this is our thermometer. This is how much money we have received for this fundraiser overall. We also can see how much has been pledged toward this goal. So in this instance, we have $71,000 pledged out of 75. Now this one to the far right is a little bit different, and that's because it's based on the one-time, it uses data for one-time donations. So one thing I forgot to mention in the pledge payment system is that if you have a one-time donation, all you do is enter a name without an ID number. So the system will recognize that it's without an ID number. It'll show you a warning. You just click OK and then click to input that payment. And that will track as a one-time donation, so someone that is not paying with a pledge. So back to our dashboard, we can see the amount of total pledge given. So this is telling us that out of that $71,000 that's been pledged, only $36,000 has been given. So we can anticipate an extra little bit less than $30,000 paid for by those pledges. So this is just a good thing when you're trying to anticipate how much money to expect while you're still adding in those one-time donations. Now on the right, we have just some simple information of the pledged, given, and then of course our days left to hit goal. On these charts down here, we can see how much is given per week. We can see our cumulative totals per week, so we can see how this campaign has been shaped over time, how people are giving. This can also help us get some trends in what time people are giving most, whether or not we're losing or gaining momentum in giving. And then a big part of this entire spreadsheet is percentage of pledge given per individual. So using those pledge IDs, we can anonymously present the information, present how much of each individual's pledge has been given. So for example, 0086 has given less than 25% of their pledge, while 5678 has given over 100% of their pledge. So we can use this and present this as a way of showing the entire congregation's support or entire congregation's progress toward fulfilling the pledges that they've given. And being anonymous is really good for that public presentation. Now, if you want to do a non-anonymous presentation, you can simply just edit the chart and change this. There's a description right here on how to do it. Change the x-axis to this one, and we can see all the names. So if you'd like to change that, you can. Change it back. We also, on this right, we have some quick stats. It's just some cut and dry numbers that you can take and pull from the information you've been putting in. So like average donation size, average one-time donation, amount of one-time donations, best, worst week. So it's just some simple cut and dry information. Normally not normally presented, so it's kind of in a less aesthetically pleasing spot on the dashboard. So the final thing I'd like to show of this spreadsheet is the printable charts. So for printing out these charts or displaying them to the congregation, displaying them to teams, I've got them put together so that they're in a printable format. So they're all together in one place. You click print and you can print it out like that. You can also adjust size if you want to take out some of these, add some of these, add some of your own. It's all at your liberty. So that is the Fundraiser Pledge Manager spreadsheet from Template Barn. I hope that it can help improve your church and its fundraising efforts. Our big thing is that this is a one-time purchase. So this entire system can be used over and over and over again for one purchase. So I hope that you enjoy. Please let us know if you have any feature requests, anything that you'd like to add to it. And thank you so much for supporting us. God bless.